Now, if you have discovered mold in your house, I recommend that you wash the towels first before using them on your walls. The same thing if you go out to the store and buy new towels that you will use as work towels. You will need to sterilize them first by soaking them in bleach for 24 hours. This is the best advice that I could give you. Just because the towels are new does not mean they are going to be mold free. So I just used the ones I already had. I took half of them and I took each towel and I cut it into 12 smaller towels. By using towels, you are scraping the mold off the wall. The towel traps the mold in its fibers, and then, once the towel becomes damp, you will place the moldy towel into a storage bin filled with ammonia and water. You could continue to reuse the work towels by putting them in a basin with 1 cup of ammonia and water. Once about 20 towels have been put in there, begin the process of rinsing and wringing them out so you can reuse them that day. At the end of the day, you want to discard the ammonia and water. You want to rinse the ammonia off your work towels in a basin of water, and then put them in a basin filled with 3 cups of bleach and water for 24 hours. These work towels will contain the highest concentration of mold and should be kept separate. After 24 hours, you're going to have to rinse the bleach off before reusing those work towels, because you never want to mix bleach and ammonia, because there's a chemical reaction and those 2 chemicals mixed together will release a vapor that will become harmful to breathe. So you never mix bleach and ammonia. So at night sometimes before you go to bed, what I would do is fill up the washer with water and add like 3 cups of bleach and just let it sit like that all night to sanitize the washer. Because all your mold is going through the washer. You never want to neglect making sure that stays clean. So when you are using tarps, I would use a blanket or a cloth tarp that you'll get at Home Depot, and then cut that into a few different sections so it's not too big, because you want to be able to put that into a storage bin to decontaminate, or put that in your washer and rinse off the ammonia. Get off all the ammonia, and then you can put it into a storage bin with the 3 cups of bleach to decontaminate. So you do not want to get a plastic tarp, because that will not absorb any of the ammonia water coming off the wall. It'll just pool on top of the plastic tarp and then make it so you're going to get it all over your carpet when you try to move it. You never know really if the spray bottle is going to be any good. I got this one right here. This is kind of like just a generic spray bottle, glass cleaner. That one lasted a good amount of time. This Glass Plus ended up hurting your hand after a while. The angle was weird on the trigger here. So the other ones I could spray for a whole day, wouldn't have a problem. This one you sprayed for a few minutes and you began to feel a lot of strain in your forearm. If you experience anything like that, get something else. The sprayer was real good for one day, for like a few hours, and then they went out. And that's HDX glass cleaner bottle. Something like this, it looked kind of impressive with a sprayer like that, and it is a sprayer that has a built-in hose that kind of runs along the side of it. So this lasted a couple hours. So the bottles that I had around the house worked pretty good for a while. And when I went to the store to buy new bottles, just new glass cleaner bottles, and the bottles continued to give me a problem. They got worse and worse, no matter which spray bottle I bought. All the sprayers, they didn't last very long. They hurt your arm. So I decided that it might be a good idea to get the professional spray bottles. So the HDX, that was the cheapest. And honestly, that worked for about a week and a half. The spray went from a nice cone spray that covered a lot of area to like a half a cone. It was still better than the regular sprayers, but it lasted only like a week and a half, and then it wouldn't spray at all. The Zep sprayer seemed to do the best, and that lasted about 2 or 3 weeks, and it's still going pretty good. After a while, the pumps do go. And the most expensive one was Spraymaster for $6. And that lasted like 2 days, a day and a half before it started not spraying. So if you ever get anything and it doesn't work, you need to save your receipts and bring it right back. Don't let them continue to sell you stuff that's broken or does not work and not bring it back. Just because they're brand new does not mean that they are okay to use. You will need to sterilize them first by soaking them in bleach for 24 hours. Open it up, submerge it in the bleach and water, let it stay like that for 24 hours. So having sterile cleaning supplies is important so that you don't end up having to clean entire rooms 2 or 3 times in a row, or end up using something that ends up creating more problems for you. So make sure that you soak your towels, your spray bottles, your buckets, your bins, your mops. Sanitize all of that first before you use it. Everything that you buy in the store, you should fill up with water and bleach and make sure it's okay. And that will kill any mold on there or show you if anything's wrong with that product that you bought. Alright, so bleach is the strongest chemical that you could use to kill mold. So you can also use this to soak items in. Nothing removes the grease, dirt, and mold better than bleach. So you can use bleach to decontaminate many things that are made of metal, plastic, or ceramic. So bleach is the best cleaning solution to use when you are soaking items around your house. And it is probably not a good idea to spray a lot of bleach into the air. So I would not recommend diluting bleach and then spraying it on your walls and everything. So ammonia seems to work best as a disinfecting spray. So use the ammonia solution. But when you're soaking things, use the bleach. You must also be careful to find sanitary bleach and ammonia, because I have been sold defective bleach and ammonia, for example, by Walgreens in Keene, New Hampshire. I got a nice easy pour bleach, which means it's mixed with like a gel. And when you smell it, it's a weird smell to it, and it doesn't smell like bleach. It smells like bleach has been mixed with ammonia or something. This does not smell good. It smells like a weird chemical. It smells kind of like a charcoal or something has been mixed with that. So you want to bring that back to the store here, and you don't want to leave that in your living space. And if you ever smell a smell that smells unusual, kind of bad in any way, bring the bleach back. So this one right here is just regular bleach like that. And honestly, when you kind of smell it, it kind of has an odor of like feces. And if you ever smell any of that, it means that they've been mixing this bleach with a water that's been contaminated with mold. And what it will do is release an odor like feces kinda, or like a marina smell. And it smells like watered down substance that has some sort of bad smell to it. There shouldn't be any odor that comes along with bleach. Normal bleach should smell like chlorine, a very light chlorine. If it smells funny in any way, save your receipt and take it back to the store. And you might have to buy bleach at a few different places, and you can tell the ones that smell a little bit cleaner. Alright, next let's talk about ammonia. Once again, when you go to the store, before you buy the bottles of ammonia, you want to screw open the cap and make sure that it has a safety seal intact. So both the yellow or the white ammonia works fine. So if you go home and you mix up your ammonia with the water and you spray it for a little bit and it's taking your breath away, something's wrong with that. Bring your bottles outside, put them outside the door, and get ready to take that stuff back. It's not good to have in your house. Usually I could spray that stuff on a whole wall and there won't be a problem. So if you ever get some ammonia and you mix it up, and if you spray it and after a short period of time it's hard to breathe, something's wrong with that ammonia. So the best thing to do is, if you get ammonia, bring it home and test it right away while you still have your receipt, so you can bring it back to the store. Same thing with the bleach. If you open it up and it has a bad smell to it, you gotta bring it back. You don't want to keep that in your house. I guess one's called splashless bleach there. It's like coagulated and it kind of smells real strong. It gives you a headache when you open it up. It smells like two weird chemicals mixed together. It's coagulated. I got splashless, or what do they call it? Easy pour bleach. supposed to be kind of a gel mixed with it. It makes it so it doesn't splash. So it's coagulated and it smells like ammonia or something, and it gives you a severe headache. So I would recommend you contact the company and ask what the problem is, and then maybe not carry this bleach here anymore, because I don't think you want to sell this product to your customers that could potentially harm them.
I will get a manager for you. Just hold on.
Great.
Manager, just remember, please. Manager, just remember, please. Thank you. Are any of them open?
Yeah, 2 are open, 1 of each. That's how I found out that something's wrong with the product.
Do you know which 2 are open?
This one's open, and we have to open up these to figure out. That one's open, so you got the 2 open ones?
These are the 2 open ones?
Yeah. You want to explain that to your manager, or should I?
You can tell them.
How you doing, ma'am?
Good.
So I bought these here like an hour and a half ago.
Yeah.
Here's my receipt. And when I opened up this one, Easy Pour Bleach, it's releasing a terrible smell to it. It gives you a headache, and it's I feel like there's something wrong with the factory or something like that. So maybe you might not want to carry that product anymore.
I will let corporate know,
Yeah,
because this is our brand.
it's your brand,
Yes.
huh? Maybe there's a problem with that.
There could be a problem with this batch.
Right.
I will
So,
let them know. I'm
yeah,
sorry about
yeah,
that.
it's all right. Yeah, I wouldn't keep it around you guys. It's really bad vapor coming out of that. All right, well, thank you.
You're welcome. You have a great day.
You too.
Sorry.
It's all right. So I've had more issues getting bleach from the local grocery stores. So I want to document what I went through so people can learn from that. So sometimes it's a good idea to keep the stuff that you have that you know is working all right. You know it's regular ammonia. You know it's regular bleach. Before you completely run out of that, get some new stuff so you have something to compare it to. That's probably the best idea. So I went to a place called Hannaford, and I got Hannaford brand bleach. And they had quite a few different bleaches. One was called like fresh scent, one was called lavender scent, one was just original, and one was gel bleach. So I got them all. Then when I opened up the bleaches, the lavender and the fresh scent, they smelled normal. The original, however, smelled like water. It smelled very weak, and it had a faint smell of feces. And the gel bleach smelled like charcoal. So I decided to return all the bleach, and this is the video of that return. So I was in here about an hour ago, ma'am, and I bought a bunch of stuff, including this bleach here. And I got it home, and I'm very unhappy with this bleach. It seems to be defective. It's not a real low quality. Here's my receipt. I'd like to return that. Great.
Which one did you open?
I opened all of them. I would keep the ones that were better, but I have some bleach at home that works very well, and it doesn't smell anything like this. Some of this smells like charcoal, some of it smells like water, and usually if you dip a towel into the bleach, you put the towel over to the side, it has a real strong smell of like chlorine, and this doesn't smell like anything. It smells like it's been watered down or something like that. So I see this is Hannaford, this is your brand here.
Can I do for you?
What do you want? Tell them again. Okay, so I have some bleach at home that works very well, and so I bought this here, and it seems to be watered down or something like that. It does not smell like bleach. Some of it smells the regular, does not smell like anything with water. The Easy Pour smells like charcoal, kind of, and this, of course, has the scents here, so you really can't tell. But since I'm not happy with these things, I want to return these two as well. If I could make a recommendation, maybe call headquarters and say that the bleach that they ship to you last is kind of defective or watered down or something like that. But if someone had to disinfect something like mold, take care of like mold in an area, this would do the job. So,
Okay. Yeah, I can definitely give that feedback.
Great.
And be happy to take the return for you.
Thank you, Joseph. I appreciate that.
No problem.
All right. So I want to state that while I was there purchasing the bleach and ammonia from Hannaford's, I picked up the Clorox bleach and I opened some of the Clorox bleach, and they never have a safety seal on any of the Clorox bleach in this area. They're always open. And all of the Clorox bleach has that smell of feces. It has a very unpleasant smell to it. So after I returned the bleach to Hannaford's, I ended up going to a place called the Dollar Tree. It's a dollar store, and they have these smaller containers of bleach for $1. I've never heard this brand before. What I noticed is that the safety seal is a foil. Usually it's a tab that you pull off. This one was all foil. So I bought these containers of bleach from the Dollar Tree. I brought them home, and I just put them downstairs in the cellar because it was getting late. So the next morning I went down to open them up and to see if they smelled alright. So I opened up the containers, and about 5 or 10 minutes went by, and I began to get a head rush. I began to get dizzy. My vision got a little bit blurred. So what I noticed is there was no chlorine or bleach-like smell to the awesome bleach. It smelled like water that had been mixed with wax, unscented wax. So I took all the bleach and I put them outside. If that ever happens to you, you open them up, you take off the safety seal, and you begin to get something like a headache, blurred vision, you get dizzy, there is something wrong with that product, and you should bring it outside. So this stuff is called Up and Up, and I got this at Target. So this had a safety seal on it, and when I got it home I opened it up and it did smell a little bit like charcoal. That's the only thing I could compare it to. So I'm going to show you what it looks like when you pour it out. So I got 4 of these total. 2 were the gel bleach and 2 were regular. So I'm going to open the other gel bleach up now and see if that is also coagulated. And it isn't. However, both of the gel bleach smell the same. They have this charcoal-like smell. It does not smell like normal bleach. So the other type of Up and Up bleach I got was just the regular bleach. It says with fabric protection. So when you pour it out, it looks pretty normal. However, it does not have a smell. It smells real watery. I did not smell the smell of charcoal, feces, or wax. So I thought I was okay. So I brought this bleach downstairs and I put 4 or 5 cups into a bin of water to decontaminate some towels. And I went upstairs to eat dinner. And about an hour later, I came down with the same symptoms, which is blurred vision, dizziness, difficulty breathing, and nervousness. So I opened up all the windows and I poured out all that bleach and I brought the bottles outside. And after about 20 or 30 minutes, I started to feel normal again. So what that tells me is that you do not want to buy bleach that smells like charcoal, that smells like feces, or does not smell much like anything, and that it smells like it's been watered down. And if you ever get a brand, a particular brand like Up and Up, and you have a bad experience with one of the bottles, I would return them all or get rid of them, because chances are if they're doing it to one bottle, they're doing it to all the bottles there. Alright, so this is the Clorox bleach, and as far as I know, none of the bleach bottles come with, none of the Clorox bleach bottles come with any type of safety seal. So I first recommended that people avoid that product. But what's also easy to do is when you go to the store is to open up the bottle and smell the bottle. And this was at the Target, the same Target where I bought these. And so I opened up this and it smelled normal. I did not smell any weird smell to it. So I bought a few of these here, and it's the same thing as any clothes detergent. I think most of the clothes detergent that is sold in the store does not have a safety seal. So that is the plus and minus side to Clorox bleach. The last thing I want to say in this video is that bleach does not affect all colors. The color does not come out of certain fabrics. So I tested every bottle of bleach on a sweatshirt that I knew would fade if you added bleach. It's a black sweatshirt, you add a little bit of bleach, it turns red and then a little white. And all of these bleaches had the same effect as removing the color from the sweatshirt. So the bleach will work, at least in part, but they are releasing a vapor that is extremely harmful, if not lethal, especially if you're adding 3 or 4 cups of it to a basin of water to soak things overnight. I've been doing this for 10 months now, all through the winter, and I've had the windows closed and I've been using regular bleach in these basins of water, and I have not experienced this. So this is a new additive your corporate military is putting in bleach. So be careful of this stuff that smells unusual, that smells like charcoal, that smells like feces, that smells like wax, and that smells extremely watered down, in that it has very little smell at all. So I am back buying regular sprayers here because the commercial ones are not working in this area anymore. These regular bottles, they don't spray as well as the commercial sprayers do, but they'll have to do. Many of them have to be taken off with a pair of pliers here. So it fits on like that, and then you kind of turn it both ways until it loosens up, and then you can take it off the rest of the way by hand. So this one was $1. And I could fill this up about 10 or 15 times before it started to wear out. This next one was $2, and these were the best ones. You could fill this one up about 30 or 40 times before the pumps started to wear out a little bit. And these were $3.50, and they were the worst. They did not have the stream on it, only the spray, and they would wear out after filling the bottle up about 5 times. So Windex Company seems to be trying to save money by putting out bottles with very weak sprayers. So my advice is just to buy a bunch of different spray bottles and try them out yourself. Maybe in your area you'll have different luck with the Windex bottles, but my guess is they're going to constantly change. So the best thing is to buy a variety and see what works best with you. Okay, so I'm going to take all these sprayers and I'm going to put them in here with some bleach and water, about 3 cups of bleach and water. Alright, so I take each sprayer and I put it in the water, and I make sure the bleach and water goes through the whole sprayer here. I do that for each one. When you buy a professional ZEP sprayer, you expect to be able to fill it up about 40-50 times before the pump starts wearing out a little bit. So I believe what they were doing at Home Depot was putting the bottles on the shelf that already had a worn out pump, because you would fill up the bottles maybe twice before the pump started wearing down and then breaking completely. So custodians all over America don't buy professional ZEP sprayers so they could fill up the bottle twice and then expect it to break down.
Hi there.
How you doing?
Good. You?
pretty good. So I'd like to return those.
You always have a problem with these, don't you?
Actually, the first ones I got were good. They lasted over 3 weeks, and then I got the second group of them, and they lasted about half of that, about a week. And then these didn't last a minute. They were already broken when I brought them home.
So do you need 2 more, or do you just want to offload them?
Have you had a problem with that batch?
No, I haven't had. This is I believe these are the first 2 I've had come back. So there's no way to check it before you go, right?
No, I don't have any Windex in the car or anything. So, but
anyway,
here's my receipt.
All right. Do you want to grab 2 more, or do you just want to return them?
Yeah, I was gonna go to the store and get like a regular Windex bottle because it seems the quality's been going down and down and down. So I don't know what to do.
No problem.
Maybe I'll look to see if you got a different brand over there.
Okay.
So I returned this one to her because it didn't work more than an hour. But I believe that's the first time I am returning these things because they don't work at all now. Okay, what I did was I bought 2 more of these spray bottles and also this one here. So I'm in the parking lot of Home Depot and I filled up the spray bottle and make sure they're both working okay. So that brings us to an important subject. The stores in my area, they began to sell grocery products and cleaning products that were so poor that I needed to expand options of where I had to shop. So what I would do is I would look on the internet for different cities nearby, and I searched on the internet to see what stores will be in that area. And then I would drive to that area and make sure that I knew where the stores were ahead of time. And basically I wrote down all the directions in a notebook, and so I increased the potential to a whole group of stores, going on like 50 or 60. I believe windows will be the primary place that the mold will be coming out of. So the mold will continue to spread throughout your house unless you properly clean the windows. So it's very important to learn how to remove your windows. I want to explain a little bit about what I know about removing the windows so you can make sure to clean them out real good and get all the mold out of there. So you want to make sure that the window is unlocked. You'll see on each side a button for moving these little hooks in the corner. There's one here and one here. They often look like that. So simultaneously you want to take one finger and pull the button toward the inside of the window. And you'll see the window slides out like that, because both of these hooks have been brought in. Okay, so it'll open like that. So we'll bring this up a little bit. And then you could see how it could slide down more. And you can look inside there and you'll see there's like a little metal knob on each side that fits into there. Now it kind of looks different on different windows, but basically you can see that little metal knob fits into that blue hole right there. So if you bring up one side a little more than the other, it'll allow you to pull out of one side. And then I want to pull out of that side too. So you see that? The blue opening is designed so that will fit inside that square metal peg. So now we're going to take out the outer part of the window that goes up, and you see the lock part that the other lock fits into. The hook kind of slides into this part right here. Alright, so if you take this window and you push it all the way down, and then you undo the hooks and you bring it out, it's not going to open all the way. However, if you just bring it up just like 2 inches, it'll open all the way so it's flat against that. And then you just want to pick up one side more than the other, and that will give you the angle where one of the sides will come out better. There are going to be a few different ways the windows open and close. I will first describe the pulleys that use strings to open and close the windows. You will have one of these on each side, 2 for the front window and 2 for the rear window. Alright, so this sheath comes off. You just kind of put your screwdriver in there and you pull it forward, and this thing just pops off. So you see the metal thing inside. And the metal thing hooks to a hook on top. So to take this metal thing out and to clean behind it, you first want to take this out. Otherwise it will snap up, and they're dangerous. They cut my hand yesterday. It's real hard, a lot of tension there. It goes up there. Then these things just come right out. And you kind of push it up. And then you can see a hook up there. So that little bar fits onto that hook right there. Alright, to take these down, this really easily just snaps out. So you take like a flathead screwdriver and you kind of pry it out, and then you might have to run it up like this, and then it comes out pretty easy. And what you'll see is this underneath. So this string is real tight. So you want to take it off from the bottom here first. And it's hooked on right here. It's a little hook. So you take like a pair of needle nose pliers and you carefully grab onto the hook part. Make sure it's on there tight. You have a good grip on it. And then you take it out. So you want to have a good grip, because this is a pulley system. And then you want to go up here and just unhook it by raising it up here. It's just hooked on like that. See that bar in the top? That bar in the top just hooks onto that. So sometimes when you try to hook it back on, it's hard to hook back on. So you take a flathead screwdriver and you kind of pull down this hook a little bit so that it hooks back on easier. Sometimes it's so against the back there, it's hard to clip it on there. And then you just repeat the process to hook it back up. You just take that and you hook it up there first. And take a screwdriver and try to press this in here. Press it against the thing to kind of close it back up. And you take your needle nose plier and you grab the hook, and then you want to hook it right back into the slot, which is right there. Just slot on this thing. What also helps is when you pull it down, you give yourself some slack, and then you hold it, the string with your hand, with your left hand. Okay, and then you hook it back in there, and then you slowly let it gain the tension again. And then you want to put this thing back on. It fits in like that. And then you want to start one side and kind of push it in. and it snaps in, and make sure that goes all the way up to the top. You take your bar that's clean. You've already cleaned this groove, every part of this. You've sprayed this down, and you hook this back up. It doesn't want to catch on up here. So I take a flathead screwdriver, and I'm going to pry it down a little bit. And that hooks back up like that. And then I want to take a screwdriver and push it back so it's kind of tight again against the back. So if you're ever working like high up, you don't want to lean into the window too much. You want to make sure that your weight is kind of like at your base. It's underneath you. You don't want to lean into the window and then fall over. So just be careful when you're working. Make sure that you shift your weight so it's underneath your body and don't lean into the window too much so you could fall over. So once that's up top, I'll take hold of this hook here. Hook it back on, and then slowly release the tension. All right. And then you want to take your screwdriver and you kind of want to line this up here. Now be careful, there's a tension here, and you can loosen this and this will snap all the way back up. Okay? So I'm going to put the sheaths back on these and then we'll hang the window. But if you turn this, it releases the lock and it slides up and down. If it escapes your grasp there, it's going to shoot back up and hit this and the whole thing might fall back down. So just be careful when you're moving these up and down. So I can move it down, it's a lot of resistance, it's kind of tough, and then I got to lock it back in place by turning it. And they are known to break. See this? And that sucks, but these things, that's how these are made, especially when they get older. They do break. And even if they do break, they will still work. As long as the window rod can sit in that window lock, it will still work fine. So I'm going to put the sheets back on these. Alright, so we're starting with the back one. It's here and here. This one is going to go in first. I'm going to position this one like at the bottom more. And I'm going to put this one in second, so I have it a little bit higher here. You see the window's angled down here. I kept this side lower on the left. This one is going to go in first, and then I'm going to drop this side in. And then try to even it up and knock that side in. I'm going to raise it up. When you're putting the windows back in, you just want to make sure they're facing the right way. So the rear top window will always go in first. It's the window that slides all the way up and will have this latch opening facing you. And last, you will put in the front bottom window that has the latch hook, and just make sure when you flip it up that the handle is facing you. Let's rest in the window ledge here. So I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to drop that side in first, and then I'm going to drop that side in. So that was lower, that was higher, went in easy, and now I'm going to knock it down a little bit on this side. Careful not to break the glass, and it's kind of even, and I'll raise it up. see that there's mold all over the screen that needs to come out. There's mold all here. And then that is a black mold fly, I think, which is what feeds on the mold. They look like little fleas that jump around and stuff like that. You'll get a whole house full of those if you don't clean up this black mold. So I know it seems like a pain in the ass to do all this, but having to throw out every belonging you have and then have the inside of your house gutted is going to be a lot more of a pain in the ass than removing all the windows. So just plan on doing one a day, if you could do that one a day. Alright, so what this is this is kind of like a spring here, and this rod right here is twisted. It's twisted to give it the power to bring the thing up and down. So you can loosen it by turning it like that, and then it goes up and down. But you see how it goes up like that? What gives it the power to pull it up is that this rod is twisted. So you see that one screw there? That will come out. And you just take your needle nose pliers and just grab the bottom of this, and it comes right out. Real easy. And then there's just one more screw up here, and you undo that one and you take it right out. So unlike the other window, this does not have a bolt to keep this in. So to take this thing out, so you reach into the groove with your needle nose pliers, you grab hold of it, and you pull it out. And then you take it down from this screw right here. That's the top, that's the bottom. Alright, so like I said, it's probably easiest to take down one of these at a time. I had taken down all 4 of these and cleaned the whole window, and I don't think that's a good idea. So it's just best to take out one part at a time. You want to clean the whole groove here and then replace it. And what's also good is you could look back at the other pieces and make sure that you have it installed correctly. If you take them all down at once, you got nothing to relate it to. So take down one of these at a time and then spray the cleaner inside the groove here and carefully clean every part of the groove, including in here in the indents. Alright, so when putting these rods back in place, you want to make sure that hole is open by pulling this rod down a little bit. And then you can put the screw back in. Now, they had them all screwed up with this little tiny screw that's hard to work with. So I went and got a similar screw that's just a little bit bigger, and that seemed to help. So I'll put it right in there to begin with. What you want to do is always put the bottom in first. So you want to grip it by the 2 points there, and you want to put it in that slot right there and push it in. So make sure that's all the way in there. Now the other ones had a little bolt that fit in there, but this does not have a little square hole for that bolt to go in there to hold that in there. You'll see the 2 pegs here go underneath this white piece. They kind of fit in there. And then you take this short screw here, and that fits right in that square hole right there. All right, you tighten that up. Like I said, you could loosen that by turning it, and then bring it up so that the top is lined up there. And then you can lock it in place again, so it does not slide up and down. And you want to take the rod and spin the rod. Be careful it does not snap out of here. You just want to make it so there's enough tension because this will ultimately bring the window up and down. So once you twist the rod, then you just screw the screw in back in that hole there. So that longer screw makes it easy to kind of line it up with the hole there. Alright, so that's now screwed back in place here. If you extend the spiral rod, you will see that it is covered with a yellow grease. In this case, the grease had turned black and was filled with dirt. In any case, you will want to clean the spiral rod and the tube section thoroughly with the CLR solution. You could spray it down, but what is also recommended is to get a bucket and fill it with 2 gallons of water and 1/2 cup of CLR. That way you could soak the window rods along with any part that may come off of the window. Then take a paper towel and wipe the grease off of the window rods so that any mold will be removed as well. And instead of getting new grease from the store, I would highly recommend getting the WD-40 lubricant spray and using that instead. So after cleaning the rod and the tube, wipe them down and then spray the rod with the WD-40 lubricant spray. Sometimes the spiral rod will come out of the metal tube by accident. So I will explain how to put it back in case that ever happens. So do you see this plastic piece? A rubber plastic cylinder that kind of fits in a hole here. So you can open it all the way up, but it stops right there. Now if this ever comes all the way out, the only way to get this back in is to remove this plastic thing. You gotta remove that from up here. And just try to do that carefully with a pair of needle nose pliers. And just try to kind of smush one side and then pull it through that and it will come out. Then you could take this, now without that plastic plug, and feed it through this. And it will go all the way in up to this. So now you just got to take that white plug and fit it back into this part right here. Alright, so by pinching one end of that plug, you kind of make it thinner and it allows it to kind of fit through the opening. Then you want to press it through using the needle nose pliers and then go ahead and clamp on both sides to make it fat again so it has trouble coming through. Alright, so I clamped down on both sides and here it is kind of fat again. It's kind of like a piece of wax and that makes it so it will not come out on the other end. So you can clean underneath, and if you get a flathead screwdriver, kind of pop them off pretty easy too. That way you can clean on the inside. Look at all the mold and stuff that was on the inside of this. And what's going to make it a lot easier is if you get a bucket filled with the CLR solution, and you could use that to decontaminate all the parts coming off of the window. Alright, so I'm going to spray the solution all through here. All through the groove that I just cleared out completely. All the way to the bottom here. All on this thing here. And then what's working good is just to use a thin towel and my finger. And I'm going to go around every side here. I have not figured out how to take these things out yet. I have not figured that out. So I am just spraying the hell out of this stuff. So what will help with this is a screwdriver, thin screwdriver, and a little thin towel or a toothbrush. And you just clean the whole groove here. And then we'll replace that rod back. So just by spraying the hell out of this thing right close to it, cleared out most of that mold and stuff attached to it. What holds the windows in place are the metal pegs that fit into the window lifts. On some window models, there are these two wings on either side of the window peg, and sometimes they break off, so this one only has one wing. The wings are supposed to fit into the groove on both sides of the window like this. When you are installing windows like this, make sure the wings fit into the thin grooves on both sides of the window as you lift the window up into place. Now, I had one window that was defective in that it was too small for the window frame. So the metal pegs could not reach all the way across the window to fit into both window lifts at the same time. So the first thing that I did was try to adjust the metal pegs like you can in some windows, but I could not adjust these. After looking at the window for a while, I realized that it was always like this and had been held up with the plastic sheaths that fit into each side of the window frame. By snapping these into place and pushing them all the way up, this will hold the window up. However, if you look at the metal peg on this side, you will notice that it's not in the blue window lift because it cannot reach to both sides at the same time. So its metal wings are on the outer side of the window rail. Since the window is only held up by one window lift, it's very important to reinforce the window with the plastic window sheaths, making sure they are strong enough to hold the rear window up. We are ready to put the back window in. So the first thing you want to do is look at the window lifts and make sure they'll be lined up correctly. The one on the right looks pretty good and is lower than the one on the left, but that needs to be turned so that it is the same shape as the window peg as you put the window in. You see the shape of the window peg here? That's going to have to line up with the window lift opening. So I'll put the right side in first, which is lower, and I'll push the window peg into that slot. And then I'll try to guide the left side in, which is higher. And then I'll have to raise up on the right side while lining the left side up. So once you got both window pegs into the openings, you'll flip the window up, making sure those wings, the peg wings, will fit into the slots on either side of the window. That will hold the window in place better. Okay, now I'm putting in the front window, and I'm going to bring these down a little bit. That often makes it easier. So the right side is going to be lower than the left side, and the slots are lined up to fit the window pegs the best. I have the lock facing the right direction, and I'm going to put in the right side, which is the lower side first, and then line up the left side. As I line up on the left side, I'm going to raise the right side up so the window evens out and both of the pegs go into the slots at the same time. Then I will lift the window up. You want to make sure the window snaps into place and is held in there securely. Otherwise, it could fall back open